Your life rarely grows beyond the level of your thinking. What if the life you want requires you to stop making small decisions for yourself? Many people do not fail because they lack ability. They hold themselves back because they expect too little from their own potential. They accept old habits, familiar fears, limited goals, and past mistakes as if these things have already decided their future. The magic of thinking big is about changing that decision. In this audiobook, you will discover how to challenge the limits you have placed on yourself, expect more from your daily effort, take thoughtful chances, handle setbacks without quitting, choose better influences, and turn powerful ideas into real action. You will learn how to behave like the person you want to become and keep raising your goals as your ability grows. This is not about pretending life is easy. It is about learning to see more possibilities, make stronger choices, and take responsibility for your growth. Stay with this audiobook. The way you think today can change the choices you make tomorrow, and those choices can change the direction of your life. Chapter 1. Decide that your life can become better. Your life can become better because your daily choices can become better. Your present situation does not have to remain the same for the rest of your life. The quality of your life changes as you improve the way you think and act. Many people want a better life, but quietly believe that better results belong to other people. They see someone with confidence, money, skills, strong relationships, or a successful career, and assume that person started with advantages they could never have. This belief creates a serious problem. A person who believes improvement is impossible will stop looking for ways to improve. A person who believes improvement is possible starts noticing choices that were invisible before. The first practical step is to separate your current situation from your future direction. Your current income is a fact about today. It is not a permanent statement about your ability. Your current skills describe what you can do today. They do not describe everything you can learn. Your current confidence reflects your past experiences. It does not decide how confident you can become through practice. This distinction matters because people often judge their future using their present condition. They say, "I am not good at speaking." A more useful statement is, "I have not practiced speaking enough yet." They say, "I am not disciplined." A stronger statement is, "My daily routine needs better structure." The second way of speaking does not pretend that a problem is easy. It simply leaves room for action. Start with one honest assessment of your life. Sit somewhere quiet for 10 minutes. Take a piece of paper and write down the areas that matter most to you. Write your work, money, health, relationships, skills, confidence, time, and personal habits. Do not judge yourself while writing. Your purpose is not to criticize your past. Your purpose is to see your starting point clearly. Then choose one area that would create the greatest improvement if you worked on it consistently. This is important because trying to change everything at once usually creates confusion. A person may decide to wake up early, exercise every day, read for an hour, learn a new skill, save money, improve relationships, and start a business all in the same week. The excitement feels powerful for a few days. Then the schedule becomes difficult and most of the plans disappear. Real improvement needs a clear target. Choose one important area and give it serious attention. You might decide to improve your professional skill for 30 minutes every evening. You might decide to track every expense for the next 30 days. You might decide to speak more clearly during meetings by preparing your main points before entering the room. The action can be small, but the standard must be clear. There is another useful lesson here. A better life does not begin with feeling better. It often begins with seeing your situation more honestly. People sometimes wait for confidence before taking action. In practice, confidence often grows after repeated action. You speak in front of 3 people, then 5 people, then 10. You learn one skill, use it, correct your mistakes, and use it again. Your mind receives evidence that you are becoming more capable. This is why small evidence matters. Your brain responds differently to a promise than it does to repeated proof. Saying that you will become disciplined feels good for a moment. Getting out of bed at the planned time for 7 days gives you evidence. Saying that you will improve your finances sounds positive. Recording every purchase for 30 days gives you information that can change your decisions. So create evidence every day. Keep one promise to yourself that is small enough to complete and important enough to matter. Complete it even on an ordinary day when nobody is watching. This teaches you something valuable about personal growth. You do not need to wait for a dramatic change before you start becoming a different person. You need repeated proof that your choices are changing. Your environment also affects the size of your thinking. Spend enough time around people who constantly complain, avoid responsibility, and reject every new idea, and their standards can begin to feel normal. Spend time with people who discuss learning, work, responsibility, and improvement, and you begin to notice different possibilities. This does not mean abandoning everyone who struggles. It means becoming careful about whose opinions you allow to shape your decisions. Pay attention to the conversations you hear every day. Notice how often people say things such as, "People like us cannot do that," or "Nothing ever changes," or "That is just how life is." These statements can sound harmless because they are common, but repeated statements influence expectations. Your expectations influence the effort you are willing to make. Your effort affects your results. A useful daily exercise is to catch one limiting statement before it controls your behavior. Replace "I cannot do this" with a more accurate sentence such as, "I do not know how to do this yet." Replace "I always fail" with "My last attempt failed, and I need a better approach." Replace "I have no time" with "I have not decided where this belongs in my schedule." These changes are practical because they move your attention from identity to action. The difference between those statements is not just positive thinking, it is problem solving. A person who says, "I cannot do this," has reached a dead end. A person who says, "I do not know how to do this yet," can search for information, ask someone experienced, practice, and try again. Better language can create better decisions because it gives the mind a problem that can be worked on. There will also be days when your situation feels heavy. You may look at your bank account and feel pressure. You may return home after a difficult day and have very little energy. You may compare yourself with someone younger who seems far ahead. Those moments are real. You do not need to deny them. You need to prevent one difficult moment from becoming a permanent belief about your life. Use a simple rule during difficult days. Do not make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. Give yourself time to calm down. Write down the actual problem. Separate what you can control from what you cannot control. Then choose one useful action. You may not solve the entire problem that night, but you can make the next decision better. This is where thinking bigger becomes practical. Thinking bigger does not mean pretending every goal will be easy. It means refusing to let today's difficulty become the final judgment on tomorrow. It means asking yourself, what can be learned, what can be changed, and what action is still available. Consider a person who wants a better career. The first mistake would be saying, "I need a completely different life." That statement is too large to act on. A better approach is to identify the skill that creates more value in the career you want. Study that skill for 30 minutes each day. Build one small project each week. Ask someone experienced for feedback. Improve your work based on that feedback. After several months, you have something much more useful than hope. You have ability and evidence. The same principle applies to relationships. A person who wants better relationships may focus on finding better people. A more useful starting point is learning to listen carefully, speak honestly, keep promises, control unnecessary anger, and stop expecting others to read their mind. Better relationships often begin with better behavior from the person seeking them. The same principle applies to money. Wanting more money is not a financial plan. Learning to earn more, spend with awareness, save consistently, and develop useful skills is a plan. Thinking bigger in this area means becoming willing to learn what you previously avoided. It means looking at your numbers without fear. It means understanding that financial improvement usually comes from repeated decisions rather than one lucky event. Your thinking also becomes larger when you stop asking only what is possible today and start asking what could become possible after serious preparation. A person may not be ready for a new position today. That does not mean the position is permanently beyond reach. The useful question is what qualifications, skills, experience, and behavior would make that opportunity realistic. Write that question down. Choose one goal that currently feels beyond your ability. Then write the person you would need to become to handle that goal responsibly. Do you need better communication, better financial control, more knowledge, better health habits, stronger discipline, more patience? Once you identify the requirements, the goal becomes an education plan instead of a fantasy. This process also protects you from a common mistake. Some people set large goals because they enjoy the feeling of saying something impressive. They want to start a company, become wealthy, travel the world, write a book, or build a respected career. But they do not study the daily behavior required. Big goals become useful only when they change what you do on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. So bring your larger vision into today. Ask what one action belongs to today. Read 5 pages. Make one important phone call. Practice one skill. Save a specific amount. Prepare tomorrow's work before going to bed. Have the conversation you have been avoiding. The size of the action is less important than its connection to the person you want to become. Do not underestimate ordinary days. Most of your life will not happen during major events. It will happen during normal mornings, routine work, quiet evenings, and small decisions that nobody celebrates. That is where your direction is created. A person who learns to use ordinary days well has a major advantage because improvement becomes part of normal life instead of something that depends on excitement. You should also learn to measure progress correctly. Do not measure only final results. Measure behaviors that produce results. If you want better fitness, track workouts and food choices. If you want stronger communication, track preparation and practice. If you want better finances, track spending and saving. If you want professional growth, track learning and useful work completed. This gives you control over the process. Results can sometimes take time. Your behavior can be measured today. That distinction prevents discouragement. You may not receive a promotion this month, but you can improve one valuable skill this month. You may not reach a financial target immediately, but you can control today's spending. You may not become highly confident overnight, but you can complete today's difficult conversation. At the end of each day, take 5 minutes and ask yourself 3 simple things. What did I do well today? Where did I make a poor choice? What will I do differently tomorrow? Keep your answers short. Do not turn the exercise into self-criticism. The purpose is learning. A person who reviews their behavior regularly can correct small problems before they become large habits. There is strength in accepting that your life can become better without pretending that your life is currently perfect. You can appreciate what you have and still want to improve. You can respect your past and still decide that your future requires different choices. You can recognize your weaknesses without making them your identity. Your decision today is not a promise that everything will change quickly. It is a commitment to stop treating your current limits as permanent facts. Learn more, practice more, choose better people and better habits, speak to yourself with accuracy, measure your actions, correct your mistakes, keep building evidence that you are capable of more. A better life begins with a serious decision, followed by ordinary actions. Make that decision clear enough that you can see it in your schedule. Make it practical enough that you can begin today. Then protect it through consistent behavior. Your future will be shaped by what you repeatedly choose to do after the excitement disappears. Chapter 2. Challenge: the limits you put on yourself. Most limits are accepted long before they are tested. A person decides what they can earn, what work they can do, how confidently they can speak, or how far they can go based on old experiences. That decision can quietly control years of life. The important question is not whether you have limits today. The important question is whether you have tested them carefully enough to know which ones are real. A useful distinction can change the way you approach personal growth. Some limits come from facts, others come from beliefs. A lack of training is a real limit today, but it can change through learning. A lack of experience is real, but experience can be built. A lack of money may restrict certain choices, but it does not automatically prevent you from gaining knowledge, improving skills, or finding better opportunities. The mistake is treating a temporary limitation as a permanent description of yourself. Look at the sentences you use to describe your abilities. I am not good with people. I am bad at numbers. I could never lead a team. People like me do not succeed in that field. These statements sound like facts because they are spoken with confidence. Yet many of them are conclusions drawn from a small number of experiences. One difficult presentation does not prove that you cannot communicate. A failed business attempt does not prove that you cannot learn business. A poor school experience does not determine your ability to understand a subject today. Start testing your beliefs instead of protecting them. Choose one statement you regularly make about yourself and ask for evidence. Write down what actually happened. Then write down what you concluded from it. These are not always the same thing. You may have failed an interview and concluded that you are not capable. The actual fact may simply be that you were unprepared for certain questions. That difference matters because preparation can be improved. This exercise becomes even more useful when you identify the missing skill behind the limitation. A person who says, "I cannot speak confidently," may actually need better preparation. Someone who says, "I cannot manage money," may need a simple spending system. Someone who says, "I cannot stay focused," may have an environment filled with constant interruptions. Someone who says, "I am not disciplined," may be relying on willpower instead of creating a clear routine. Do not attack yourself for having weaknesses. Study them. A weakness becomes easier to improve once you can describe it precisely. Instead of saying, "I am lazy," write, "I often delay tasks that have unclear deadlines." Now you have something you can work on. You can set a specific start time, divide the task into smaller steps, and remove distractions before beginning. Clear language creates useful action. Another powerful test is to deliberately do something slightly outside your normal ability. Do not choose an enormous challenge that creates unnecessary pressure. Choose something uncomfortable but manageable. Speak once during a meeting. Ask for feedback on your work. Learn a skill you previously avoided. Make a decision without asking 5 people for approval. Each successful attempt gives you new information about your capacity. You may notice something interesting. The first attempt often feels harder than the actual task. Your body becomes tense. Your mind creates reasons to delay. You imagine embarrassment before anything has happened. Then you act and discover that the experience is manageable. This teaches an important lesson. Fear can give you a strong feeling without giving you accurate information. That does not mean every fear should be ignored. Some fears contain useful warnings. A risky financial decision deserves careful research. A dangerous activity requires proper training. A major career move needs preparation. Challenging your limits is not about acting without thought. It is about refusing to let discomfort make every decision for you. One practical method is to create a discomfort list. Write 5 activities that you avoid because they make you uncomfortable. Rank them from mildly uncomfortable to very uncomfortable. Start with the first one. Practice it several times before moving upward. This turns courage into a skill that can be trained. You are no longer waiting to feel fearless. You are learning to function while discomfort is present. Your limits also grow from comparison. You may compare your beginning with someone else's 10th year and decide that you are behind. This creates an inaccurate measurement. A person with 10 years of experience will naturally perform differently from someone with 6 months of practice. Compare your current ability with your previous ability. That measurement gives you information you can use. Take communication as an example. Perhaps you speak too quickly during important conversations. Instead of deciding that you are naturally poor at communication, record yourself practicing for 2 minutes. Listen afterward. Notice where you rush. Notice unclear words. Notice where your point becomes difficult to follow. Practice again at a slower pace. After a few weeks, you can compare recordings and hear the difference yourself. The same process works with almost every useful skill. Writing improves through writing and revision. Sales improves through conversations and feedback. Leadership improves through responsibility and reflection. Financial knowledge improves through studying actual numbers. Fitness improves through repeated training and recovery. Confidence grows through successful experiences that were earned through preparation. There is also a hidden cost to keeping your standards low. Low expectations can reduce effort before you even begin. A person who expects very little from themselves may avoid difficult opportunities because failure would feel uncomfortable. A person who expects to learn from difficulty can approach the same opportunity differently. The external situation may be identical, but the internal standard changes the behavior. Challenge yourself to raise one personal standard this week. It might be arriving 10 minutes early instead of arriving exactly on time. It might be finishing important work before checking entertainment. It might be answering messages with more patience. It might be preparing before every important meeting. Choose one standard and keep it for 7 days. The purpose is not to become perfect. The purpose is to prove that your behavior can change through deliberate effort. Be careful with the phrase, "This is just who I am." It can describe a genuine preference, but it can also protect an old habit from examination. Maybe you are naturally quiet. That does not mean you cannot learn to speak clearly in important situations. Maybe you prefer routine. That does not mean you cannot adapt to change. Maybe you dislike conflict. That does not mean you cannot learn respectful disagreement. You become more capable when you separate personality from skill. You may not enjoy a certain activity, yet you can still become competent at it. You may never become the most outgoing person in the room, but you can become someone who listens carefully and speaks with confidence when necessary. Personal growth does not require you to become someone else. It requires you to expand what you are able to handle. Your past can also create limits through labels. Someone may have called you careless, weak, slow, difficult, average, or unsuccessful. After hearing the same description repeatedly, a person may begin to use it as an identity. But another person's judgment is not a permanent record of your ability. Study your current behavior. That is where change can begin. Ask yourself what you would attempt if you stopped needing to protect an old image of yourself. Maybe you would apply for a better position. Maybe you would learn to manage your finances. Maybe you would speak honestly with someone important. Maybe you would start a project that you have delayed for years. The goal is not to impress anyone. The goal is to stop allowing old assumptions to make current decisions. Keep a record of your challenges. Write down what you attempted, what happened, what you learned, and what you will change next time. This turns experience into education. Without reflection, a difficult experience can simply become another reason to avoid action. With reflection, the same experience can reveal exactly what needs improvement. There will be failures during this process. Some challenges will expose weaknesses you did not know you had. That is useful information. Do not immediately turn a failed attempt into a judgment about your worth. Study the result. Find the specific mistake. Correct it. Try again with a better method. The goal is not to prove that you never fail. The goal is to become someone who learns faster from failure. Your limits deserve examination, not automatic obedience. Test the belief. Find the skill. Take the smaller challenge. Gather evidence. Adjust your method. Repeat the process. Over time, you will discover that some boundaries were real and needed patience, while others existed mainly because you had never seriously tested them. The decision to challenge yourself becomes powerful when it enters your daily behavior. Do one thing today that your old self would have avoided for no good reason. Prepare more carefully, speak up once, learn something difficult, ask for useful feedback, start the task before you feel ready. Each action gives you a clearer understanding of what you can actually do. Your life becomes larger when your definition of your ability becomes more accurate. You do not need to claim that you can do everything. You need to stop claiming that you cannot do something before you have learned, practiced, and tested it. That is a more honest way to live, and it gives you room to become stronger through real experience. Chapter 3. Expect more from yourself every day. A better standard changes ordinary behavior before it changes visible results. People often wait for a major opportunity before deciding to become more responsible, more focused, or more capable. That approach wastes many ordinary days. Personal growth becomes much stronger when you expect useful effort from yourself, even on days that look completely normal. Your standard is the level of behavior you consider acceptable from yourself. It affects how you prepare, how you use time, how you speak, how you handle mistakes, and how carefully you complete simple responsibilities. Two people can have the same ability and the same amount of time, yet produce very different results because they expect different levels of effort from themselves. Start by examining what you currently accept. Look at your workspace. Look at how you manage appointments. Look at unfinished tasks. Look at the promises you make and whether you keep them. Look at how often you arrive prepared. These details may seem small, but they show your actual standards more clearly than your intentions do. A useful exercise is to choose 3 areas where you have become too comfortable. Perhaps you regularly postpone important work until late at night. Perhaps you spend more time watching short videos than developing useful skills. Perhaps you accept poor communication because correcting it feels uncomfortable. Do not attack yourself for these habits. Identify them accurately and decide what better behavior would look like. Expecting more from yourself does not mean demanding perfection. Perfection creates unnecessary pressure because it treats every mistake as evidence of failure. A strong personal standard is different. It says that you will prepare properly, complete what matters, correct mistakes, and keep improving. You can make an error and still maintain a high standard because your response to the error is part of the standard. Consider how you handle your morning. You do not need an extreme routine. You need a clear first decision. Get up at the time you planned. Avoid immediately giving your attention to random messages. Know the most important task for the day. Give that task a defined period of attention before entertainment takes over. These simple choices tell your mind that your priorities deserve action. Your first hour can also reveal how much control you have over your attention. Many people wake up and immediately consume information created by other people. They read messages, check social platforms, watch videos, and react to news before deciding what matters to them. By the time they begin their own work, their attention has already been divided. A stronger standard is to give your own priorities attention before giving the day away to everyone else. There is another practical lesson about standards. Your environment often adjusts to what you repeatedly tolerate. Leave clutter for weeks, and clutter becomes normal. Accept late work from yourself, and delay becomes normal. Allow interruptions during every important task, and broken attention becomes normal. The solution is not to become strict about everything. It is to identify which repeated behavior is reducing your quality of life and change that behavior deliberately. Choose one rule that protects your important work. You might keep your phone outside the room for the first 30 minutes of focused work. You might prepare tomorrow's priorities before going to sleep. You might refuse to start entertainment until one important task is completed. The rule should be simple enough to follow without constant debate. Your standards also affect the people around you. People learn how to treat you partly through what you consistently accept. This does not mean becoming rude or demanding. It means communicating clearly. If someone repeatedly interrupts your work, explain when you are available. If a project requires accurate information, ask for it clearly. If you make a promise, respect it. Reliable behavior creates trust, because people know what they can expect from you. Expect more from your communication as well. Before speaking, ask whether your words are accurate and useful. Avoid saying something simply because you are frustrated. Do not promise what you cannot deliver. Do not agree to something you already know you will avoid. These small habits strengthen your character because they require you to take responsibility for the effect of your words. Your work deserves a higher standard too. Many people ask whether a task is finished. A better question is whether it is done properly enough to serve its purpose. If you send an important email, read it once before sending it. If you prepare a report, check the important numbers. If you make a presentation, practice the difficult sections. Quality often improves through small checks that take only a few minutes. This principle is especially important because careless work can become a habit without creating immediate consequences. You may send one unclear message and nothing happens. You may arrive unprepared once and still survive the meeting. You may miss one deadline and receive another chance. But repeated carelessness creates a reputation. Your standard is built through what you do consistently, not through what you occasionally do well. Set a daily minimum for one skill that matters to your future. Read 10 pages. Practice a language for 20 minutes. Study a professional subject for 30 minutes. Write 500 useful words. Review your finances for 10 minutes. The exact activity depends on your goal. What matters is that the minimum is clear and measurable. A daily minimum is useful because motivation changes. Some mornings you will feel energetic. Other mornings you will feel tired and distracted. A minimum gives you a decision that has already been made. You do not need to ask yourself whether you feel like practicing. You simply complete the agreed amount and move forward. Do not make the minimum so large that you regularly fail. A standard should challenge you while remaining realistic. The purpose is to create consistency first. Once the behavior becomes normal, increase the difficulty carefully. 10 minutes can become 20. 20 can become 30. The increase should come from evidence that you can handle the current level consistently. Another way to expect more from yourself is to improve the quality of your decisions. Before making an important choice, slow down enough to identify the cost. Ask what this decision will require tomorrow, next week, and next month. A purchase may feel small today, but become another monthly expense. A new commitment may sound exciting, but create pressure on your schedule. A careless response may take 10 seconds to send and several days to repair. This does not mean analyzing every small decision. It means giving serious decisions the attention they deserve. People often spend more time choosing entertainment than choosing commitments. Reverse that habit. Give your important decisions more thought than your temporary pleasures. You should also expect yourself to finish more of what you start. Constantly beginning new projects can create the feeling of progress without producing completed work. Choose fewer important tasks and complete them properly. Completion teaches useful lessons about planning, patience, and responsibility that starting alone cannot teach. At the end of each day, review your standard rather than simply reviewing your mood. Ask whether you did what you said you would do. Ask whether you protected important work. Ask whether you handled people respectfully. Ask whether you learned something useful. Then choose one adjustment for tomorrow. This daily review should be honest but calm. You are not standing in judgment over yourself. You are studying your own behavior. A person who studies their actions can make precise improvements. A person who only tells themselves to try harder often does not know what needs to change. Your expectations should also grow as your ability grows. Do not keep demanding the same level from yourself forever. Once a behavior becomes easy, raise the standard slightly. If you can consistently complete 30 minutes of study, improve the quality of the study. If you can manage your schedule well, start planning important work further ahead. Growth requires new challenges after old habits become stable. There will be days when you perform below your normal level. Accept that reality without lowering your entire standard. Rest when rest is necessary. Recover after a difficult period. Then return to your basic commitments. One poor day does not need to become a poor week. The goal is not to become exhausted by demanding more from yourself. The goal is to become more dependable. You want to reach a point where your own promises carry weight in your mind. You say you will practice, and you practice. You say you will prepare, and you prepare. You say you will finish, and you finish. That level of self-respect is built through ordinary actions. Expect better preparation. Expect honest communication. Expect responsible use of time. Expect yourself to learn from mistakes. Expect yourself to complete meaningful work. Each day gives you another opportunity to live at a standard that makes your future more likely to improve. Chapter 4. Train yourself to think beyond today. Your future is being affected by decisions that feel small today. The food you choose tonight can affect your energy tomorrow. The skill you practice this week can affect your opportunities next year. The money you spend without thought can reduce your choices later. Thinking beyond today means learning to see the second and third effects of ordinary decisions. Many people are trained by immediate rewards. They choose what feels good now and deal with the cost later. They delay difficult work because entertainment feels easier. They spend money because the purchase creates quick satisfaction. They avoid an uncomfortable conversation because silence feels easier for the moment. None of these choices automatically destroys a life. The problem appears when short-term comfort becomes the main rule for daily decisions. Start noticing the future cost of your present choices. Before making an important decision, pause and ask what this choice creates next. A late night may create tiredness during an important meeting. Skipping practice may leave you less prepared for an opportunity. Avoiding a necessary conversation may allow resentment to grow. This simple pause gives your mind time to see consequences that immediate emotion can hide. Thinking beyond today does not require predicting the future perfectly. Nobody can know exactly what will happen. The goal is to consider likely consequences before acting. You are not trying to control every event. You are trying to make decisions that give your future self better options. Take your time as an example. A person may say they have no time to learn a useful skill, yet the same person may spend an hour scrolling through videos each evening. The issue may not be the total number of hours available. The issue may be how those hours are being allocated. Look at your last 7 days and record where your time actually went. Do not estimate. Write down what you remember from your calendar, phone usage, work schedule, and daily routine. The result may show opportunities that were hidden by vague statements about being busy. Then choose one future benefit and connect it to a daily action. If you want better career opportunities, identify the skill that would make you more valuable. If you want financial stability, identify the behavior that reduces unnecessary spending. If you want stronger relationships, identify the communication habit that needs improvement. The future becomes easier to influence when it is connected to something you can do today. One useful habit is to ask yourself what your future self will need from you. This question changes the way you see ordinary responsibilities. Your future self may need savings because an unexpected expense will eventually appear. Your future self may need stronger skills because your current job may not always provide growth. Your future self may need healthy routines because energy affects the quality of your work and relationships. You can make this practical by creating a 1-year page. Write the date 1 year from today. Then describe what you want to be different. Keep it specific. Maybe you want a new professional skill, a certain amount saved, better communication, stronger physical habits, or a completed project. Next to each result, write the behavior that would make it more likely. This turns a distant goal into a set of current responsibilities. Do not fill the page with 20 goals. A long list can create the illusion of planning while making action difficult. Choose 3 meaningful areas. Give each one a clear result and a repeated behavior. You will know that the plan is working when you can point to what you did this week. Thinking beyond today also changes how you respond to setbacks. A difficult week can feel like proof that your plan is failing. But 1 week is only a small part of a longer process. You need enough distance to judge a direction fairly. A business idea may need months of testing. A professional skill may require hundreds of practice sessions. A relationship may need repeated conversations before trust improves. This does not mean ignoring poor results. It means measuring them correctly. Ask whether the problem is the goal, the method, the effort, or the time allowed. Maybe the goal is realistic, but your method is weak. Maybe the method is good, but your schedule is inconsistent. Maybe you need more information. Thinking beyond today gives you enough patience to diagnose the problem instead of reacting emotionally. Your purchases also deserve future thinking. Before buying something expensive, ask how often you will use it. Ask whether it solves a real problem or only creates temporary excitement. Ask what other use the money could have. You do not need to avoid every enjoyable purchase. You need to understand the trade-off. Every amount of money has more than one possible use. The same principle applies to commitments. Saying yes can feel generous in the moment. Later, the same commitment may consume time needed for important responsibilities. Before accepting a major request, look at your calendar. Ask what you will have to delay. A responsible person does not measure a commitment only by whether it sounds good today. They consider whether they can deliver it properly later. Your words also have future effects. A harsh sentence spoken during anger can remain in another person's memory long after the emotion disappears. A promise can create expectations. A careless accusation can damage trust. Before saying something important, slow down enough to ask whether you will respect those words tomorrow. This small pause can prevent many unnecessary problems. Thinking beyond today can also improve learning. Instead of asking only what information is useful right now, ask what knowledge will remain useful for years. Basic communication, clear writing, financial awareness, decision-making, emotional control, and professional skills can continue producing value long after you learn them. Spend some of your learning time on abilities that strengthen many parts of life. There is a simple way to identify these skills. Look at the problems you face repeatedly. If poor communication creates conflict in several areas, communication deserves attention. If poor planning causes missed deadlines at work and stress at home, planning deserves attention. If impulsive spending creates repeated financial pressure, financial habits deserve attention. Repeated problems often reveal skills that need development. Another important lesson is to stop rewarding yourself only for immediate results. Some valuable work produces delayed benefits. Studying may not improve your career this week. Saving may not make you feel wealthy today. Practicing patience may not receive recognition, but these behaviors can strengthen your position over time. A mature approach to progress allows useful actions to continue even before visible rewards appear. You can train this ability with a simple evening exercise. Before sleeping, write one action from today that helped tomorrow. Maybe you prepared an important document early. Maybe you saved money instead of spending it. Maybe you practiced a skill. Maybe you had a difficult conversation respectfully. Then write one action that made tomorrow harder. Perhaps you stayed up too late or postponed an important responsibility. This creates awareness without requiring a complicated system. After several weeks, patterns become easier to see. You may notice that your best mornings come after certain evening habits. You may discover that your strongest work happens after preparing the night before. You may see that unnecessary spending happens during specific emotional states. Once you recognize the pattern, you can change the environment around it. This is one reason planning matters. A good plan reduces the number of decisions you need to make under pressure. Prepare meals before you become hungry. Decide your work priorities before distractions begin. Set aside savings before unnecessary spending occurs. Prepare important conversations before emotions become intense. Preparation allows your earlier judgment to guide your later behavior. Thinking beyond today also means understanding that your reputation is built slowly. People remember patterns more than isolated performances. One impressive day cannot replace months of unreliability. One mistake does not erase years of responsible behavior. Your future opportunities are affected by the expectations people have about your reliability. Protect that reputation through consistent actions. Do the same with your relationship with yourself. Every time you make a reasonable commitment and keep it, you strengthen trust in your own decisions. Every time you repeatedly promise something and ignore it, your internal confidence can weaken. This is not about guilt. It is about learning that your actions teach you what to expect from yourself. The future does not require constant worry. It requires better preparation. Give today's decisions enough attention to protect tomorrow's choices. Use your time with awareness. Spend money with purpose. Learn skills that remain useful. Protect important relationships. Prepare before major responsibilities. Review your patterns regularly. A person who learns to consider tomorrow does not become less present. They become more deliberate about today because they understand that today is the place where tomorrow is being created. The work you do now, the habits you repeat now, and the choices you make now are giving your future self either more freedom or more problems. Choose actions that make the person you will become more capable, prepared, and ready for the opportunities ahead. Chapter 5. Take bigger chances when opportunities appear. Important opportunities rarely arrive with complete certainty. Most of the time, you have enough information to make a reasonable decision, but not enough information to guarantee the result. That is why many capable people remain in the same place for years. They are waiting for a level of certainty that real life rarely provides. Growth requires learning how to make thoughtful decisions while some uncertainty remains. Taking a bigger chance does not mean acting recklessly. It means accepting reasonable risk when the possible benefit is meaningful and the downside can be managed. A person who understands this difference makes better decisions. They do not jump at every opportunity, and they do not reject every opportunity that contains risk. They study the situation and decide what deserves a serious attempt. Start by changing the way you define risk. Many people see only the risk of taking action. They rarely calculate the risk of staying exactly where they are. Remaining in an unfulfilling job for 5 years has a cost. Avoiding useful education has a cost. Refusing to meet new people has a cost. Never asking for a better opportunity has a cost. Inaction can also produce consequences, even though those consequences develop quietly. Take a sheet of paper whenever an important opportunity appears. Write 4 things. What could I gain? What could I lose? What can I control? What can I learn even if the result is poor? This simple process prevents emotion from making the entire decision. It also helps you recognize opportunities that are uncomfortable but reasonable. Consider a person offered a better position at work. The new role requires more responsibility and unfamiliar tasks. Their first reaction may be fear because the current position is familiar. But familiarity is not the same as safety. The person should examine the salary, responsibilities, support available, required skills, possible career value, and personal costs. After gathering the facts, they can decide whether the opportunity deserves a serious attempt. Preparation makes courage more practical. Before taking a significant chance, strengthen the areas you can control. Learn the basic skills. Save money where possible. Ask experienced people for information. Study the market. Practice the required task. Prepare questions. Build a backup plan. Preparation does not remove uncertainty, but it reduces avoidable mistakes. There is also a difference between being ready and feeling ready. You may never experience a perfect emotional moment where fear disappears and confidence feels complete. A person can be prepared and still feel nervous. A speaker can know the material and still feel tension before entering a room. A business owner can understand the numbers and still feel uncertain before making an investment. The presence of nervousness does not automatically mean that the decision is wrong. Learn to judge opportunities using evidence rather than emotion alone. Excitement can be misleading. Fear can also be misleading. Look at the facts. What is the actual probability of failure? What would failure cost? Can the damage be limited? What skills would you gain? Who could help you? How much time can you commit? These questions turn a vague fear into a decision that can be examined. One practical rule is to avoid risks that can permanently damage your basic stability without a strong reason. Do not risk essential money simply to prove that you are brave. Do not destroy an important relationship for a temporary emotional reaction. Do not leave a stable source of income without understanding how you will support yourself. Courage should include responsibility. At the same time, do not use responsibility as an excuse for permanent hesitation. Some people research endlessly because research feels productive. They read another book, watch another video, ask another person, and make another plan. Months pass without action. Information is useful only until additional information stops changing the decision. At that point, action becomes part of learning. A useful personal deadline can solve this problem. Give yourself a reasonable period for research. Gather the important facts. Speak with people who have relevant experience. Identify the major risks. Then choose a date for the decision. This prevents endless analysis from becoming another form of avoidance. Opportunities also become easier to recognize when you develop useful skills before you need them. A person who learns communication, writing, organization, negotiation, financial management, and leadership creates more options. Skills increase the number of situations in which you can contribute. This means opportunity is not only something you discover. Sometimes you become ready for opportunities by preparing before they appear. Pay attention to small opportunities as well. You may be asked to lead a small project. You may be offered a chance to present an idea. Someone may introduce you to a useful professional contact. A client may ask for a service you have never provided. These moments can become training grounds. You do not need to wait for a life-changing opportunity before practicing courage. Say yes selectively to responsibilities that stretch your current ability. A small leadership assignment can teach you how to coordinate people. A difficult client can teach you communication. A new project can reveal gaps in your knowledge. A public presentation can expose weaknesses that practice can fix. Each experience can increase your range. There will be times when you choose incorrectly. That is part of making real decisions. The goal is not to create a life where every choice produces the desired result. The goal is to become better at evaluating choices, responding to outcomes, and adjusting quickly. A poor decision becomes more expensive when pride prevents you from admitting it. After taking a chance, review the result without attacking yourself. Ask what you predicted correctly. Ask what surprised you. Ask which warning signs you missed. Ask which preparation helped. Ask what you would do differently next time. This turns experience into practical knowledge. A person who learns this way becomes more capable with each serious attempt. You should also be careful about whose opinion controls your decisions. People who care about you may still judge an opportunity based on their own fears. They may tell you to stay safe because they would not take the risk themselves. Listen respectfully, but separate their comfort level from your actual situation. Seek advice from people who understand the type of decision you are making. Another important skill is learning to ask for the opportunity you want. Many people wait to be noticed. They work hard, but never communicate their interest in greater responsibility. They hope someone will offer them a promotion, a project, a partnership, or a chance to contribute. Sometimes, the opportunity never appears because nobody knows they want it. Make your interest clear. Tell your manager what responsibility you want and what skills you are developing. Contact someone whose work interests you and ask a specific professional question. Offer to help with a project where you can learn. Apply even when you do not meet every requirement listed in a job description, provided you can honestly perform the essential responsibilities and learn the rest. Rejection should also be expected. A rejected application does not necessarily mean you lack ability. A declined proposal does not prove that your idea has no value. Timing, budget, competition, and priorities can affect decisions. Study the response when useful, improve what you can, and continue looking for another suitable opportunity. Your comfort zone becomes smaller or larger based on repeated behavior. Avoid every difficult opportunity, and avoidance becomes easier. Accept reasonable challenges, and your ability to handle uncertainty improves. You learn that discomfort can be managed through preparation, clear thinking, and action. Do not wait for confidence to approve every important decision. Build enough knowledge to understand the situation. Protect yourself from unnecessary damage. Prepare seriously. Then accept that some uncertainty will remain. That is part of real progress. The next time a meaningful opportunity appears, give it more attention than your first emotional reaction. Study it. Calculate the cost. Prepare for the difficult parts. Ask for information. Set a decision point. Then act with responsibility. Your life can change because of one opportunity, but the deeper benefit comes from becoming the kind of person who is prepared to recognize opportunities and brave enough to use them. Chapter 6. Handle setbacks without giving up early. A setback can change your plan without deciding your future. Failure feels personal because you are the one standing in the room after the result goes wrong. You see the rejected application, the poor sales numbers, the unfinished project, or the conversation that went badly. In that moment, your mind may want a simple answer. It may tell you to stop. A better response is to study what happened before deciding what it means. The first lesson is to separate the event from the identity. Losing a client is an event. It does not prove that you are a failure. Missing a target is an event. It does not prove that you are incapable. Making a poor decision is an event. It does not mean every future decision will be poor. This separation protects your ability to learn because you can examine a mistake without feeling that your entire character is being attacked. Do not rush to explain a setback emotionally. Give yourself enough time to calm down, then collect the facts. Write down what you expected to happen, what actually happened, and where the difference appeared. This simple comparison often reveals something useful. Maybe the goal was unrealistic. Maybe your preparation was weak. Maybe you underestimated the time required. Maybe another person made a decision you could not control. Maybe the method was wrong even though the goal was reasonable. That distinction matters because different problems require different responses. A weak method needs adjustment. A lack of skill needs training. A poor estimate needs better planning. A situation outside your control may require acceptance rather than more effort. Continuing to push the wrong method is not persistence. It is repeating the same behavior while hoping for a different result. Take a failed job interview. The easy reaction is to say, "They did not want me." That statement gives you no useful information. A stronger review asks whether you researched the company, prepared examples, explained your experience clearly, answered questions directly, and communicated your value. Perhaps you discovered that your technical knowledge was strong, but your answers were disorganized. Now you have something specific to improve before the next interview. Create a setback review after every meaningful failure. Keep it short. Record the expected result, actual result, main cause, lesson, and next action. Do not write a long emotional story. You are building a record that helps you recognize patterns. After several setbacks, you may discover that the same issue appears repeatedly. That information is valuable because repeated problems usually deserve more attention than isolated mistakes. Another important skill is learning to continue at a smaller level. People sometimes quit because they cannot maintain their original pace. A business owner may lose a major client and stop marketing completely. A person trying to exercise may miss a week and abandon the routine. A student may struggle with a difficult subject and stop studying. Instead of asking whether you can maintain your best performance, ask what useful action you can still complete today. A smaller action keeps the connection alive. 10 minutes of study is better than stopping completely. One professional conversation is better than avoiding the market. One workout can restart a routine. One honest conversation can begin repairing a relationship. The goal during a difficult period is not always maximum progress. Sometimes the most important achievement is preventing a temporary setback from becoming permanent withdrawal. Your emotions also need proper treatment. You do not need to pretend that disappointment does not hurt. Rejection can make your chest feel heavy. A financial loss can create fear when you look at your account. A public mistake can make you replay the moment in your head. Acknowledge the emotion without allowing it to make every decision. Feeling disappointed is a normal response. Giving up permanently because you feel disappointed is a separate choice. Give yourself a recovery period with a defined limit. Take the evening to rest after a difficult day. Sleep properly. Walk outside. Speak with someone sensible. Then return to the problem with a clearer mind. Recovery is useful when it restores your ability to act. It becomes harmful when it turns into indefinite avoidance. One of the least useful habits after failure is excessive comparison. You see someone else succeeding and assume their path was easier. You do not see their rejected applications, failed attempts, financial pressure, or years of practice. Compare your current process with your own previous process. Your goal is to identify whether your ability to handle problems is improving. You can also build a personal failure budget. Decide in advance that some attempts will not work. This sounds simple, but it changes your expectations. A person who believes every attempt must succeed may interpret one rejection as a disaster. A person who expects several unsuccessful attempts can remain calm enough to continue. This is especially useful in areas where rejection is normal, such as sales, job applications, creative work, business, and networking. The key is to learn from each attempt rather than collecting failures without reflection. 10 unsuccessful attempts with the same mistake teach very little. 10 attempts with careful adjustment can teach a great deal. After every serious effort, change at least one part of your approach when the evidence supports a change. Do not make the opposite mistake either. Some people become so focused on persistence that they refuse to stop a bad plan. Persistence is not the same as repeating. Sometimes the responsible choice is to change direction. A project may no longer make financial sense. A strategy may consistently produce poor results. A commitment may be damaging important responsibilities. The mature response is to examine the evidence and make a deliberate adjustment. Ask 3 questions during a difficult period. What is still working? What is clearly not working? What is one change that could improve the situation? These questions keep your attention on reality. They prevent you from seeing the entire situation as either perfect or hopeless. Your support system matters during setbacks too. Choose people who can tell you the truth without humiliating you. You need someone who can say your preparation was not good enough, while still helping you identify how to improve. Avoid people who only make you feel better without helping you understand the problem. Comfort can help you recover, but useful feedback helps you grow. You should also protect yourself from making major decisions while emotionally overwhelmed. After a serious disappointment, you may want to quit your job immediately, end an important relationship, spend money impulsively, or make another dramatic change simply to escape the feeling. Give important decisions time. Calm your body. Gather information. Then decide. Setbacks can reveal strengths that success does not test. A successful month may show that your plan works. A difficult month shows whether you can adjust the plan. A promotion can show that you have ability. A rejected promotion can show whether you can handle disappointment professionally. A profitable project can demonstrate execution. A failed project can reveal weaknesses in planning that success temporarily hid. Use those lessons. Do not waste a difficult experience by turning it only into a painful memory. Extract information from it. Write down what you learned. Change one behavior. Improve one skill. Update one part of your process. Then return to the work. There is also a difference between losing time and losing direction. A setback may delay your progress. That does not mean you have to abandon the larger purpose. You may need a different route. You may need more training. You may need to reduce the size of the goal for a period. You may need to change the deadline. These adjustments are not weakness. They are part of managing reality. At the end of a difficult week, do not ask only whether you succeeded. Ask whether you became more capable of handling difficulty. Did you learn how to prepare better? Did you communicate more clearly? Did you recover faster? Did you identify a weakness? Did you make a better decision after the disappointment? These are signs of progress that may not appear in a bank account or a job title. Your response after a setback teaches you who you are becoming. You can become someone who disappears after disappointment, or someone who takes a breath, studies the facts, changes the method, and returns to useful work. That choice does not need to be dramatic. It can happen quietly the next morning when you open your notebook, make the next call, complete the next practice session, or begin the task you almost abandoned. A setback deserves your attention, but it does not deserve control over your future. Learn from the result. Correct what you can. Accept what you cannot change. Reduce the task when necessary. Continue building skill. Give yourself enough time to recover, then return to the work with better information and a stronger method. Chapter 7. Surround yourself with people who lift you. The people around you can influence your standards without giving you direct instructions. Their habits become familiar. Their opinions become easier to accept. Their way of handling work, money, conflict, learning, and responsibility can slowly affect what you consider normal. This is why choosing your environment is not a social preference alone. It is part of personal development. Start by studying the effect different people have on your behavior. Think about the conversations you have during a normal week. Notice how you feel after spending time with certain people. Do you become more focused or more distracted? Do you leave with useful ideas or only complaints? Do you feel encouraged to take responsibility or encouraged to blame circumstances? These observations can tell you more than labels such as friend, co-worker, or acquaintance. A person does not need to be successful in every area to have a positive influence. Someone with modest income may have excellent discipline. Someone without a leadership position may communicate with great honesty. A quiet person may teach you patience. An older colleague may have practical wisdom from years of experience. Look for qualities rather than status. The opposite is also important. A person can be wealthy, popular, or professionally successful and still influence you poorly. Success in one area does not automatically mean good judgment in every area. Pay attention to behavior. Notice how people treat workers, handle pressure, respond to criticism, speak about others, and keep commitments. Character is often easier to see during ordinary moments than during public success. One practical exercise is to create 3 groups in your mind. The first group contains people who consistently encourage responsible growth. The second contains people who are neutral and simply part of your daily environment. The third contains people whose behavior repeatedly pulls you toward habits you are trying to leave behind. You do not need to make dramatic announcements. Start by changing how much time and attention you give each group. This becomes especially important because social influence often works through repetition. A friend does not need to tell you to waste time every day. Spending several hours together doing nothing may gradually make wasted time feel normal. A co-worker does not need to tell you to complain about work. Repeated negative conversations can make dissatisfaction feel like the only reasonable response. A group does not need to criticize ambition directly. They can simply laugh whenever someone tries something difficult. You should learn to notice the difference between support and approval. Good people do not always tell you what you want to hear. Someone who respects you may challenge your poor decision. They may tell you that you are avoiding responsibility. They may point out that your plan is weak. That kind of feedback can feel uncomfortable, but it can be extremely useful. Choose at least one person who is willing to give you honest feedback. Ask them specific questions. Do not say, "What do you think of me?" That invites a vague answer. Ask, "What habit do you think is holding me back?" Ask, "Where do I communicate poorly?" Ask, "What do I do that makes working with me difficult?" Then listen without immediately defending yourself. The first reaction may be discomfort. Your face may feel warm. You may want to explain why the person is wrong. Pause. Write down what they said. You do not have to accept every criticism, but you should examine it before rejecting it. Useful feedback often contains something you did not want to notice. Your environment should also contain people who are actively learning. Spend time with someone who reads, practices a skill, builds something, studies a subject, or improves their work. You may discover that serious growth is not as complicated as it first appears. You see people making mistakes, adjusting their methods, and continuing. Their behavior gives you a practical example of what steady improvement looks like. Do not wait for perfect friendships before improving your environment. You can begin through books, lectures, interviews, classes, professional groups, and thoughtful conversations. A useful teacher does not have to know your name. A well-written book can introduce you to a way of thinking that changes your decisions. A skilled professional may teach you through one conversation. Still, direct relationships have a special effect because they provide immediate feedback. If you want to become better at communication, spend time with people who communicate clearly. Watch how they disagree. Notice how they ask questions. Observe how they explain difficult ideas without insulting others. Then practice those behaviors yourself. The same approach works with work habits. Find someone who manages time well and study what they actually do. Do they prepare the night before? Do they keep meetings short? Do they finish one task before starting another? Do they protect their mornings? You do not need to copy their entire life. Borrow the specific behavior that solves a problem in your own life. Money provides another useful example. If you want better financial habits, spend time learning from people who understand saving, earning, spending, and long-term planning. Do not simply copy someone's purchases or lifestyle. Study their decision process. Ask how they decide what they can afford. Ask how they handle unexpected expenses. Ask what financial mistakes they made earlier and what they changed afterward. Your conversations matter as much as your company. Try changing the questions you ask. Instead of asking someone only what they bought, ask what they learned. Instead of discussing only other people's problems, discuss solutions. Instead of complaining about a difficult situation for 30 minutes, spend 10 minutes identifying what can actually be changed. Better questions can lead conversations toward better thinking. There is also a responsibility on your side. You cannot expect strong people to remain around you if you bring constant excuses, broken promises, and negative behavior into every relationship. The kind of people you want in your life are usually looking for similar qualities. Become a useful friend. Listen carefully. Keep your word. Show appreciation. Give honest encouragement. Respect another person's time. Relationships improve when both people contribute. Ask what you can offer instead of only asking what someone can give you. Maybe you can help with research. Maybe you can introduce 2 useful contacts. Maybe you can listen during a difficult period. Maybe you can share something you have learned. Mutual value creates stronger relationships than constant requests. You should also learn to set boundaries with people who repeatedly damage your progress. A boundary does not require anger. You can reduce unnecessary conversations. You can stop discussing personal goals with someone who mocks every effort. You can decline invitations that repeatedly interfere with important responsibilities. You can spend less time in environments that encourage behavior you are trying to change. This can feel difficult because people often fear being judged as unfriendly. But protecting your time does not require disrespect. You can care about someone without copying their habits. You can remain polite without joining every activity. You can wish someone well while choosing a different direction for yourself. Pay attention to how you behave around different groups. Sometimes, the problem is not only that others influence you, you may also change your own behavior to fit the group. You become less ambitious because everyone around you makes fun of ambition. You speak less clearly because confidence is treated as arrogance. You spend more because everyone else spends. You complain because complaining gives the group something to discuss. Notice those changes. Ask yourself whether you respect the version of yourself that appears in that environment. That question can reveal a lot. A healthy environment should not require you to become smaller just to belong. At the same time, do not build an environment where everyone agrees with you. You need different perspectives. Someone with a different background or experience can reveal weaknesses in your thinking. The goal is not to create an audience that confirms every belief. The goal is to create relationships where people can disagree respectfully and still help each other improve. A strong personal network is built slowly. Start with one conversation. Ask one thoughtful question. Follow up on something the person taught you. Offer help when appropriate. Stay in contact without demanding attention. Trust develops through repeated respectful behavior. Your social environment can influence your standards, but it does not control your decisions. You remain responsible for what you choose. The purpose of surrounding yourself with good people is not to avoid every negative person in the world. That would be impossible. The purpose is to make sure that the voices encouraging learning, responsibility, courage, and good character are strong enough to guide you. Look at the people closest to you and study what your relationships are teaching you. Then become intentional. Spend more time with people who challenge you to grow. Learn from people who have useful experience. Accept honest feedback. Protect your attention from repeated negativity. Give as much value as you receive. The quality of your relationships can shape the quality of your decisions. Choose people who respect effort, honesty, learning, and responsibility, and bring those same qualities into their lives through your own behavior. Over time, your conversations change, your standards change, and the choices you make each day begin to reflect the person you are working to become. Chapter 8. Turn your ideas into real daily progress. Good ideas have very little value until they change something in your daily life. You can have a clear vision, useful knowledge, and strong goals, but none of them can produce results while they remain only in your mind. Progress begins at the point where an idea becomes a specific action that can be completed. Many people enjoy planning because planning creates a feeling of movement. You write down goals. You watch educational videos. You save useful advice. You discuss what you want to achieve. These activities can be helpful, but they can also become a comfortable substitute for action. The real test is simple. At the end of the day, ask what changed because of your idea. Start by choosing one idea that matters enough to act on. Do not collect 10 new projects. Look at the ideas you already have. Perhaps you want to improve your work. Perhaps you want to write something useful. Perhaps you want to become healthier, manage your money better, or learn a valuable skill. Choose one idea and make it specific enough to enter your schedule. A vague idea cannot guide your day. Saying, "I want to improve my life," gives you no clear action. Saying, "I will spend 20 minutes learning this skill at 7 in the evening," creates a real instruction. The first statement describes a desire. The second statement creates a behavior. This is one of the most important differences between people who keep thinking and people who keep progressing. They do not always have better ideas. Often, they simply make decisions more concrete. They decide what to do, when to do it, and what completed work will look like. Take a notebook and write down one idea you have delayed. Under it, answer 4 simple questions. What is the first physical action? How long will it take? What do I need before starting? When exactly will I begin? Keep your answers simple. The purpose is to remove unnecessary uncertainty before the work begins. Suppose you want to start learning graphic design. The idea can remain vague for months while you search for the perfect course. A better approach is to choose one basic lesson, set aside 30 minutes, open the software, and create something simple. Your first result may be poor, but now you have begun the learning process. You can see what you do not understand. Action creates information that thinking alone cannot provide. Before starting, you may believe a task will take 2 hours. After doing it once, you may discover that it takes 40 minutes. You may expect a project to be easy and discover a difficult technical problem. You may worry about a challenge and discover that the hardest part was simply beginning. This is why completed attempts are so valuable. They reveal the real conditions of the work. An idea inside your mind is based partly on assumptions. A real attempt replaces some of those assumptions with experience. You should also learn to break large projects into visible units of work. Saying that you will write a book can feel overwhelming. Writing 500 useful words today is easier to understand. Saying that you will start a business may feel too large. Researching one customer problem and speaking with one potential customer gives you a place to begin. The smaller action should still matter. Do not reduce every task until it becomes meaningless. Choose a step that creates genuine movement. Reading one sentence about a subject may technically count as action, but it does not create enough progress to build ability. Find a size that requires effort without making the task difficult to begin. Another useful principle is to prepare the next action before you finish the current one. At the end of a work session, write down the exact task you will begin tomorrow. This reduces the time spent wondering what to do. You can sit down and start with a clear instruction. For example, do not write, "Work on my project tomorrow." Write, "Review the first 3 pages and correct the unclear sections." Do not write, "Study more." Write, "Complete lesson 4 and answer the practice questions." Specific instructions reduce hesitation because the decision has already been made. Your daily progress also depends on learning the difference between important work and visible activity. Some tasks make you look busy without moving your life forward. Organizing files for 2 hours may feel productive, while an important report remains unfinished. Reading endless information about starting a business may feel useful while you avoid speaking with real customers. At the beginning of each day, identify the work that would make the greatest difference. This does not mean ignoring every small responsibility. It means preventing small responsibilities from consuming the time required for important work. A useful method is to divide your tasks into 3 groups. The first group contains work that creates real progress. The second contains necessary maintenance, such as messages, cleaning, administration, and routine responsibilities. The third contains activities that can be delayed, reduced, or removed. Look at your day honestly and make sure the first group receives serious attention. Your ideas also need deadlines, but not every deadline should be dramatic. A realistic deadline creates focus. Decide when the first version will be complete. Decide when you will ask for feedback. Decide when you will review the results. Without these points, an idea can remain unfinished because there is always another day to work on it. Do not wait until your work feels perfect before showing it to someone who can give useful feedback. Early feedback can prevent weeks of effort in the wrong direction. Choose someone who understands the subject or represents the type of person your work is meant to help. Ask specific questions. What is unclear? What is missing? What part is useful? What would make this better? Feedback is most valuable when you are ready to use it. Do not collect opinions simply to hear more opinions. Look for patterns. If several people struggle with the same part, examine it carefully. If one person dislikes something that serves its purpose well, you do not need to change everything. Learn to separate useful criticism from personal preference. Progress also becomes stronger when you track completed actions rather than relying on memory. At the end of the day, write down what you actually finished. This can be surprisingly useful. On difficult days, you may feel that you achieved nothing. Your record may show that you completed several important tasks. On other days, you may feel busy but discover that very little meaningful work was finished. This record gives you a more accurate picture of your behavior. After 2 weeks, look for patterns. Which time of day produces your best work? What distractions appear most often? Which tasks are repeatedly delayed? In what conditions help you begin? Your daily life can teach you how to build a better system if you pay attention. Another challenge is learning to continue after the excitement disappears. New ideas often feel exciting because they offer possibility. Routine work feels different. The novelty disappears and the project begins requiring patience. This is where many useful ideas are abandoned. You need a method that works during ordinary emotional states. Set a time. Prepare the materials. Remove the most common distractions. Begin with the next clear task. You do not need to create a perfect mood before every session. A reliable process is more useful than constantly searching for inspiration. There is also value in finishing small projects. A completed small project teaches you more about execution than a large collection of unfinished ideas. Completion shows you where your planning was weak. It teaches you how to manage the final details that people often avoid. It gives you a result that can be reviewed and improved. Choose something you can finish within a reasonable period. Write a short article. Complete a basic course. Build a simple portfolio project. Improve one part of your work system. Save a specific amount of money. Complete the process and study the result. You should protect your ideas from unnecessary discussion during the early stages. Talking too much about a new plan can sometimes create a false sense of accomplishment. People congratulate you for the idea before you have done the work. Keep the conversation focused on people who can provide useful information, honest feedback, or practical support. The quality of your daily actions also matters more than the number of ideas you collect. You do not need a new direction every week. Give a good idea enough time to produce evidence. Work on it consistently. Measure what happens. Adjust the method based on what you learn. Your schedule should reflect your priorities. Look at the last 7 days and identify where your important idea actually appeared. If it was never given time, then it remained a hope rather than a commitment. Put meaningful work into your calendar. Treat that time as a responsibility. Some days will not go according to plan. Unexpected work will appear. You may become tired. Family responsibilities may require your attention. The solution is not to declare the entire day lost. Adjust the size of the action and protect some connection with your important work. Perhaps you planned 60 minutes and only have 20. Use the 20. Perhaps you intended to complete an entire section and can only complete the first part. Finish the first part properly. Small progress can keep a project alive during busy periods. Every useful result in your life must pass through this stage. An idea becomes a decision. A decision becomes a scheduled action. A scheduled action becomes completed work. Completed work produces information. That information helps you improve the next attempt. Make your ideas earn a place in your day. Give them a clear action, a real time, and enough attention to produce something you can examine. Stop measuring your potential by what you hope to do someday. Measure your growth by the useful work you are willing to complete today. Chapter 9. Act like the person you want. The person you want to become is being shaped by what you do in ordinary situations. Your future character is not created only during major decisions. It develops through the way you speak to people, handle responsibility, use your time, respond to pressure, and behave when nobody is watching. You do not need to wait until you become confident, disciplined, respected, or successful before practicing those qualities. Many people approach personal growth from the wrong direction. They say they will behave differently after they achieve something. They believe success will make them disciplined, confidence will make them speak clearly, and responsibility will come after they receive a better position. In real life, the order often works differently. You develop the behavior first, and repeated behavior makes the new quality more natural. Start by describing the person you want to become through actions rather than titles. Do not write that you want to become a successful person. That phrase is too broad. Write that you want to become someone who prepares before important work, keeps promises, speaks respectfully during disagreement, learns from criticism, manages money carefully, and finishes important responsibilities. This exercise is useful because identity can become vague. A person can say, "I want to be a leader," without knowing how a leader behaves during an ordinary afternoon. A more useful description might be someone who listens before deciding, accepts responsibility for mistakes, gives clear instructions, and remains calm when others are under pressure. Now the goal can be practiced. Choose 3 qualities that matter most to the person you want to become. Then connect each quality to a visible behavior. If you want to become dependable, arrive prepared and complete commitments. If you want to become confident, speak clearly, even when you feel nervous. If you want to become thoughtful, pause before reacting to difficult messages. If you want to become disciplined, complete important work before unnecessary entertainment. The next step is to practice these behaviors before they feel natural. This may feel strange at first. You may have spent years responding quickly to criticism, avoiding difficult conversations, or delaying tasks. A new response can feel unnatural simply because it is unfamiliar. Do not mistake unfamiliar behavior for fake behavior. A skill feels awkward before practice makes it comfortable. Consider confidence. Many people believe confident people never feel nervous. That is not a useful definition. A more practical definition is the ability to communicate and act responsibly while nervousness is present. You can train this by preparing your thoughts before a meeting, speaking slowly, making eye contact, and finishing your point without constantly apologizing for having an opinion. Your behavior during disagreement is another strong test. Anyone can appear calm when everything goes well. Your character becomes easier to observe when someone challenges you. Do you interrupt? Do you raise your voice? Do you attack the person instead of addressing the issue? Do you leave the conversation because you cannot tolerate disagreement? If you want to become a mature person, practice staying respectful while discussing a difficult subject. Use a simple pause before responding to emotional messages. Read the message once. Do not immediately answer. Put the phone down for a few minutes if the situation allows it. Then decide what needs to be said. Remove unnecessary accusations. State the actual issue. Explain what you need. This small habit can prevent many conflicts. The person you want to become must also have standards for private behavior. It is easy to look responsible in front of others. The harder test is what you do when nobody will know. Do you complete the work you promised yourself? Do you return something that is not yours? Do you admit an error when hiding it would be easier? Private choices shape public character. Money provides another useful test. Someone who wants to become financially responsible cannot wait for a higher income before learning control. They can begin by knowing where their money goes. They can avoid unnecessary debt. They can create a basic saving habit. They can compare purchases instead of buying impulsively. The amount may be small at first, but the behavior establishes a standard. The same principle applies to health. You do not need to become an athlete to act like someone who respects their health. You can sleep at a reasonable time, move your body regularly, eat with awareness, and pay attention to how your habits affect energy. These actions communicate something to yourself. Your health is a responsibility rather than an afterthought. Your professional life also changes when you act according to the person you want to become. If you want to be trusted with larger responsibilities, start handling your current responsibilities carefully. Be prepared for meetings. Keep track of deadlines. Communicate early when a problem appears. Do not wait until the last minute to tell someone that you cannot complete an assignment. This behavior can create opportunities because people notice reliability. A person who consistently handles small responsibilities well becomes easier to trust with larger ones. You do not need to announce that you are ready for greater responsibility. Your work can demonstrate it. There is another important lesson. Acting like the person you want does not mean pretending to have abilities you do not possess. Do not claim expertise you have not developed. Do not speak with false confidence about subjects you do not understand. Growth requires honesty. You can communicate confidence while still saying, "I do not know yet, but I will find out." That sentence shows strength because it combines humility with responsibility. You are not hiding a weakness, and you are not using the weakness as an excuse. You are identifying what you do not know and taking ownership of the next step. Your choice of words can also support this process. Avoid making excuses that protect your image. Instead of saying, "I had no choice," explain what happened and what you could have handled differently. Instead of blaming everyone involved, identify your part. Responsibility gives you something to improve. Be careful with self-labels as well. Saying, "I am an impatient person" can make impatience feel permanent. Describe the behavior more accurately. "I become impatient when progress is slow." That statement allows you to examine the trigger and practice a better response. You can create a personal behavior standard for difficult moments. When you are angry, do not send the first message that comes to mind. When you are embarrassed, do not immediately blame someone else. When you fail, do not hide the result. When you succeed, do not treat other people poorly. These rules give you guidance when emotions are strong. Another useful exercise is to choose one person whose character you respect. Do not copy their personality or lifestyle. Study one quality. Maybe they listen carefully. Maybe they remain organized. Maybe they speak directly without being rude. Maybe they stay calm under pressure. Observe the behavior and identify what you can practice. You can also use your future self as a daily standard. Before making a decision, ask whether the person you want to become would respect this choice. Would that person waste the next 2 hours because a task feels difficult? Would that person hide an obvious mistake? Would that person keep making promises they have no intention of keeping? This question can interrupt automatic behavior. Do not use it to criticize yourself. Use it to make decisions clearer. You are not trying to perform for an imaginary perfect version of yourself. You are choosing the behavior that matches your values. Expect inconsistency during the learning process. You will respond poorly sometimes. You will lose patience. You will delay work. You will make decisions that do not match your standards. The important part is what happens next. Notice the gap between your desired behavior and your actual behavior. Correct it quickly. Apologize when necessary. Repair what can be repaired. Return to the standard. A mistake does not erase your progress. It gives you another situation to practice. The goal is to reduce the distance between what you believe and what you actually do. Your identity becomes stronger when your actions repeatedly agree with your values. You say you value honesty, then you tell the truth when it is uncomfortable. You value responsibility, then you handle your obligations without constant reminders. You value growth, then you keep learning after receiving criticism. You value respect, then you control your behavior during disagreement. This is how personal change becomes visible. You do not need to announce that you are becoming a better person. People can see it through your choices. Your communication becomes clearer. Your work becomes more reliable. Your reactions become more controlled. Your decisions become more thoughtful. Start today with one quality. Choose the person you want to become and identify one behavior that person would practice. Then perform that behavior in a real situation before the day ends. Repeat it tomorrow. Keep observing yourself. Keep correcting the gaps. Your character is being built through the standards you practice repeatedly, and the person you want to become becomes more real each time your actions match the qualities you value. Chapter 10. Keep raising your goals as you grow. Growth creates a new responsibility that many people overlook. Once you improve your life, you must decide what improvement means next. Reaching one goal can give you satisfaction, but staying at the same level simply because it feels comfortable can slowly reduce your development. A growing person keeps asking what new responsibility, skill, contribution, or challenge deserves attention now. A goal should change as your ability changes. A beginner may need to focus on learning the basics. After gaining competence, the same person may need to improve quality, speed, leadership, or judgment. The next goal should reflect the person you have become, rather than the person you were several years ago. Start by reviewing what you have already achieved. Do not do this only to feel proud. Study the process. Look at the skills you developed, the habits that helped, the decisions that worked, and the mistakes that taught you something. This review gives you information for setting the next target. Take one recent achievement and ask why it happened. Perhaps you completed a course because you studied at the same time each evening. Perhaps you improved your finances because you tracked your spending. Perhaps you became better at speaking because you practiced before meetings. The useful part of the achievement is not only the result, it is the process that produced it. Once you understand the process, choose a goal that requires a higher level of ability. Do not simply increase the number, improve the quality. If you read 10 books this year, the next goal might not be 20 books. It could be reading fewer books more carefully and applying what you learn. If you earned more money, the next goal might involve building stronger financial stability rather than simply increasing spending. This is where many people misunderstand bigger goals. Bigger does not always mean more. Sometimes bigger means deeper responsibility. You may earn more but need better financial management. You may gain authority at work but need stronger communication. You may become physically stronger but need better recovery habits. You may become more knowledgeable but need better judgment about how to use that knowledge. Ask yourself what your current success now requires from you. More income may require better planning. More employees may require better leadership. More freedom may require stronger self-control. More influence may require greater care with your words. Growth changes the problems you need to solve. Set goals that develop your capacity rather than only producing rewards. A useful goal should make you learn something, practice something, or become responsible for something you could not handle before. This creates progress that remains useful after the goal is completed. You can divide your goals into 4 areas. Improve something you already do. Learn something you do not yet understand. Build something that can serve other people. Take responsibility for something larger than yourself. These categories can help you avoid setting goals that only focus on personal comfort. Suppose you are good at your job and want to advance. Instead of only aiming for a higher title, choose a goal that prepares you for greater responsibility. Learn how to train another employee. Improve a process. Lead a small project. Learn how to present results clearly. These actions build evidence that you can handle the next level. Your goals should also become more specific as they become more important. A vague goal such as become successful cannot guide a serious year of work. A clearer goal might be to develop a professional skill, complete a major project, save a defined amount, improve a measurable habit, or build a useful service. Specific goals allow you to determine whether your actions are producing progress. Use a 12-month planning exercise. Write 3 results you want by the end of the year. Then identify what must be true for each result to happen. Next, identify the skills and habits required. Finally, choose what must happen during the next 30 days. This prevents distant goals from becoming vague promises. The 30-day section is especially important. A goal 12 months away can feel too distant to influence today's behavior. A 30-day target creates a closer responsibility. You can then divide that target into weekly actions and decide what belongs on each day. Do not fill every hour with goals. Leave room for ordinary life. Rest, family responsibilities, unexpected problems, and recovery are part of reality. A plan that leaves no room for change will collapse when life becomes unpredictable. Strong planning includes flexibility. You should also learn to raise your goals without becoming dissatisfied with your present life. Ambition does not require constant frustration. You can appreciate progress while still wanting to develop further. These two attitudes can exist together. Gratitude for what you have and responsibility for what you can improve are not opposites. There is another danger after achieving a major goal. You may become attached to the identity created by your success. Someone who becomes successful in one field may refuse to learn anything new because they do not want to feel inexperienced again. This can limit future growth. A mature person is willing to become a beginner when a valuable new skill requires it. Be comfortable saying, "I do not know how to do this yet." Your previous success does not remove the need for learning. In fact, greater responsibility often exposes more areas where your knowledge is incomplete. Raising your goals also means raising the quality of your questions. Instead of asking only how to get more, ask how to create more value. Instead of asking how to become more important, ask how to become more useful. Instead of asking how to avoid difficult work, ask which difficult skill would improve your future. These questions change the direction of ambition. You stop measuring progress only through status and begin measuring it through capability and contribution. Look at the people who depend on your work. A larger goal should not only benefit you, it can improve the quality of what you provide to others. A manager can create a better workplace. A teacher can improve how students understand a subject. A business owner can solve a real customer problem. A professional can make a process faster or clearer. Growth becomes more meaningful when other people experience the benefit. Do not wait for someone else to tell you what your next goal should be. Take responsibility for your development. Your employer may provide opportunities, but your learning is ultimately your responsibility. Your circumstances may influence your options, but your preparation affects how well you use those options. Review your goals every month. Ask whether they still matter. Ask whether your priorities have changed. Ask whether the current method is working. Ask whether the goal is too easy, too difficult, or simply no longer relevant. A goal should guide your decisions, not control you after the situation has changed. Measure progress using more than one number. Track completed work, skills learned, habits maintained, relationships strengthened, problems solved, and responsibilities handled. Some of the most important forms of growth cannot be reduced to income or status. You should also create goals that force you to improve your decision-making. For example, choose a project that requires you to manage a budget, communicate with different people, solve unexpected problems, and meet a deadline. One meaningful challenge can develop several abilities at once. As your capacity grows, your responsibilities can grow with it. A person who once needed strict external structure may eventually learn to organize their own work. Someone who once avoided difficult conversations may become capable of handling them calmly. Someone who once depended on others for every decision may develop sound judgment. This is a deeper form of success. You are not only achieving more, you are becoming capable of handling more. There will be periods where raising your goals feels uncomfortable. That is normal. A larger goal exposes new weaknesses. It may require you to learn from someone younger, ask for help, admit that your current method is outdated, or start a project without knowing every answer. Stay open to learning. Do not confuse a higher goal with a busier life. The purpose of growth is not to fill every moment with activity. Choose goals that matter. Remove goals that only exist because of comparison. Protect your health and relationships. Give serious attention to work that creates lasting value. At the end of each month, sit down without distractions and review the direction of your life. Look at what improved. Look at what stayed the same. Identify one ability that needs attention. Then decide what challenge deserves your effort next. Your goals should keep developing because you keep developing. The person who set your previous goals had different knowledge, different skills, and different responsibilities. You are not required to remain loyal to an old version of yourself. Keep learning. Keep increasing your ability. Keep choosing responsibilities that require better judgment and stronger character. Let each achievement become evidence that you are ready to handle something more meaningful. A bigger life is not created by constantly chasing larger numbers. It is created by becoming capable of doing better work, making wiser decisions, helping more people, and handling greater responsibility with maturity. Raise your goals when you have earned the ability to pursue them. Then give those goals your time, attention, and disciplined effort until the next level becomes part of who you are. If this audiobook gave you a new way to look at your life, do not let the lesson end when the audio stops. The real value begins with what you do next. The magic of thinking big is not about expecting life to give you more. It is about becoming the person who is prepared to handle more. Think about the goals you have been keeping small. Think about the decision you have been delaying. Think about the skill you know you need to develop. Your next step does not need to be dramatic. It needs to be real. Take one idea from this audiobook and use it today. Make one better decision. Raise one personal standard. Start one important task. Speak to yourself with greater confidence. Give your future more serious attention. And remember this simple line: your future can change when you stop accepting limits that you have never tested. Come back to this audiobook whenever you need to reset your thinking. Each time you listen, you may notice a different lesson because your experience will be different. Keep learning, keep growing, keep expecting more from yourself. Your next level begins with the way you choose to think today.